Whoosh. On today's video, doing a custom fuel tank for the Superjet.
1200 Superjet.
1200 Superjet. Alright, so we got the Superjet 1200 fuel tank here. And this is what I was initially doing. Was I cut this section off and tried to plastic weld this patch over it to narrow up the front. I got it pretty close, and then I had to clearance it up here, and I basically ended up ruining it. After buying all the plastic welding stuff and learning how to do it, it was just becoming a super big hassle. But up here, this is where I got the idea. This is a website called Superjet 1200, and this dude shows you how he did it. And let's see, he says he had a friend, Jerome, cut the fuel tank and weld it for him. Well, I don't have a friend that actually knows how to plastic weld, and I gave it a go, and well, mine looks like poo. So what I'm doing is I'm making a fiberglass tank. And I don't know if this is going to work very well or not, but basically I got the shape off it, just laid up a layer, and I got this, both sides layered in there. I kind of had to make some transitional patches with tape, and so it's kind of stuck on the back side, but this is just to kind of get the shape. And so I'm going to get the whole thing shaped around it, and then I'm just gonna go back over the inside once I got the whole outside done, and hopefully we'll have a tank made out of it and it'll work. So this is just polyester resin and regular fiberglass fabric. This is how they used to do boat fuel tanks back in the day, so it's not like I'm inventing something crazy here. But it should be interesting. We'll see how it works. So you can see here, I've got a front side and a back side kind of shell piece, and they're all loose. I've pried them off so I can put them back on, and I'm going to go back around the outside so I can get the complete shape from it, just get a complete shell, and then I'm going to just slice it, and then I'm going to go back over the inside. And then I'm just going to have to I'm either going to make a hole in it so that I can re-glass over the inside, or I'm just going to cut it in half and patch the two ends together. But yeah, this kind of is the only way for me to do it right now. And if I want to use any big size fuel tank, and 1200 in a Superjet, it's gonna empty anything small pretty quick. So this is my solution for not having to fill up every 15 minutes. And I think it's gonna work. Alright, so here we have the tank. I just basically, when I got the two pieces removed and broken free, I just stuck them back on and then re-glassed up the sides here. If you just laid it up on the whole tank all at once, you'd never be able to get it off, but I just cut this enough of a slit to be able to remove it, and then you know right where you need to glass it back up. So I've just been going around the whole thing and re-glassing it shut across the slit where I cut it open, and now I just gotta finish going around the outside. Alright, you movie watching people, I upgraded the GoPro this time for the next section of the tank video. So this is where we're at. So I got it all shelled together, and then I cut a hole so I'm glassing the backside, or the inside now, to build up the strength without making it larger on the exterior dimensions. Found an old oil filler cap ripped this off of the what is it? The XL 1200 that we got the other day. And I got this cute little filler that we're gonna use for putting the fuel in, because this was the easiest way to go about it, is just put a filler on the top rather than use the stock external fill on it. I didn't want to glass in another thing that was probably going to break, because the old fuel filler hose was like as stiff as steel, so it seemed like it was probably going to break something if I tried to screw it or attach it to some fiberglass with hose clamps. So this is what we got. This little guy is tiny, so I'm probably going to be mad at myself and wish I put a different filler on here, because the hole here is probably barely big enough to get the end of a gas tank to the fill in, so I'll probably be upset about that later, but it looks cool on there now. Also, this has the symbol for oil, so hopefully I don't get confused and put only oil in the fuel tank. Oh, it'd be so bad. But where I'm at now, the back side is glassed in quite a bit. I mean, it's not like I'm doing this great, but it's not like a structural piece. This is what it looks like. So I mean, hope it works. And then for the fuel straws, this is this is a piece of tank that I cut off of the XL 1200 tank. Glass doesn't really stick to this, so I'm hoping I can figure out a way to make it work. We'll see. Alright, now I'm going to actually give you some footage of me doing some fiberglass. So, you guys feel free to just critique my technique below. I'm sure what I do is flawless. You guys can tell me how much I need to be vacuum bagging this stuff and all that, and how this is unsafe and it's totally not going to work. Be sure to tell me that below in the comments. But right now that I'm on the inside, I'm just dumping some resin in here because this is the least messy way to do it at this point, at least that I know of. And I'm not really concerning myself with how tightly packed the layers of glass are, or I mean, I'm really just doing it how it ends up working, and hopefully it's good enough. But another trick I do is every time I buy some resin, I buy a bunch of extra hardener and try to use too much, if anything, because one thing that really sucks is when you don't put enough hardener in it and it never hardens, or it takes your entire lifetime to harden. So I'm just mixing it up with my finger, and yeah, I'm sure you guys love this method. And you probably can't see anything of what I'm actually doing, but really, I just have to get this corner in here, and I'm just doing it side by side, whatever side's on the bottom, and I'm just trying to lay resin on all the surface that I'm going to be reinforcing with glass. I'm using this type of multi-directional weave, which I don't like it. I've never bought this before, but I bought this just to try it, and I hate this stuff because the technique I use, it just falls apart every time you put it in. So I'm trying to use it all up. I'm probably never gonna buy this type again, but you know, I'm not exactly a fiberglass expert. I've done a lot of it, but I'm not saying I've done a lot of it great. But let's see. I did the tubbies on the 1100 SX. I did those, you know, kind of by hand, by eye. It turned out pretty good. It's not like I even used the right kind of resin to do it, and so far they've held on pretty good. So, I mean, I don't know. If you're doing an actual ski hull,
Probably should use epoxy resin. This is just your basic Bondo polyester resin that you can get at whatever store. And, you know, I use this because I didn't want to wait for anything to come in the mail. And it's pretty cheap. I think if you buy this online, you can get like a gallon of this cheap Bondo resin for like 30 bucks. It's a pretty good deal. You can spend a lot of money on this stuff, but I mean, I didn't really want to buy expensive stuff because I didn't know if this was going to work either. And I still don't know really how well this is going to work, but as far as I know, everybody that had boat gas tanks back in the day that were made out of glass, I believe those were all polyester resin that was in those, and I think that maybe sometimes they leak a little bit, it seems, but really, you know, what am I going to do? Use a tiny fuel tank? I mean, I could weld one out of aluminum. It would be a buttload more work. So, I don't know. We'll see how this works, though. Right now, I'm trying to get a strip I put in fully soaked. I feel like the way I'm doing it with my finger, I have more articulation than you would with a brush. And then you don't have to worry about buying brushes as much. I mean, you already basically, if you're not using gloves when you're doing this type of stuff, you're really asking for it because it's a mess. So, but I think that's as good as I'm gonna get with this batch. You know, I'm trying to press the glass in, and then it's just, yeah, this technique doesn't work that great with this fabric. You push it down, pull it up, and you know, the hair wants to pull the whole sheet up, but looks like that's about as good as I'm gonna get. And you know what? That's all I gotta say for now. Alright, so back to the fuel tank. I've got this spout that I cut out of the other tank for the straws. I perforated it a lot, kind of did like a honeycomb thing, and stuck it through the top. And so now I'm just going to try to laminate it in there with resin and strips, and we'll find out if it works. Alright, here's another look. Letting it dry a little bit, but rule of thumb that works for me, rides again, more than enough hardener and it will dry more soon. So yeah, it's actually coming together pretty good. Alright, so we got another trick for you right now. I'm going to show you some fiberglass techniques or resin techniques that I use every once in a while. Hopefully he cuts this part out if I look like a complete idiot. Hopefully the camera angle sort of sees me. I bet it doesn't. How about that? You like that, guys? Can you see me? Can you see the tank? Alright. So, put some resin in a little bag. Then you slap the hardener in. And then you can mix it up in the bag like this. And you can make sure that it gets mixed up pretty stinking good in here. Right? Then you cut the corner off of the bag and you spray it out so that you get the fine amount. You get like a, I don't know. It's like a, what is it? Cake decorators use this technique for frosting. And I'm using it for this. Probably, I really should be using another glove. I only have one glove on one hand, and I'm gonna regret it. But check this out. I'm just gonna, because what I'm doing now is kind of just sealing up cracks, so I'm not laying any fabric. But this is just getting the top all smoothed out all around where I put this plastic piece in, which it sure seems like it's gonna work. And around here where it didn't really fill, or I didn't really bolt this to that flat of a spot. Hopefully this doesn't all just run down. Okay, it definitely is, yeah. Ha ha. Ha ha ha, joke's on me. But, not bad. This sure seems like it's working out. And here you go. It's less wasteful this way. By the way, you know, we want to talk. Leave a comment below and tell me how much you love my fabrication techniques here on the show. Tell us about your project that you're building. Ooh, now I got a lot left that I need to use up. Ooh, I found a bad corner that was really ugly, and I'm just going over the top, smoothing it out, I guess, making my finish pretty. I'm not painting this or anything. I was at the store the other day and I saw some glitter, and I was like, I could probably mix that in with the resin and have like metal flake on the outside of this tank. And I didn't do it. I was like, yeah, I don't care about that. I don't have time for that. Somebody probably would do it. Oh, man, look at how nice it looks. You just gotta make the part that people see look kinda good. I don't actually care if this looks very good at all. It can look like complete crap as long as it holds the gas good. I mean, it's the price you pay when you want a 1200 in a Superjet. Okay, I'll also leave the comment below on what tank you're gonna build now for your custom engine swap. Now that you know how to make your own tank, shoot, what you gonna put a what weird jet ski engines are there? You gonna put a supercharged Sea-Doo engine in your Polaris Octane? You're gonna swap a 300 into your GP 1300R? Tell us below. I know he's not gonna cut out any of this filler either. He's gonna edit the video with all of me talking. Every stupid thing I say is gonna be in this video. I mean, sometimes I bet you I say some funny stuff on these videos, but I mean, I'm not an incredible entertainer. There's only so much you can do to make this type of stuff look good. Now that I look at it, I bet you the camera angle's kind of crap, and you probably can't see me very well. But, yeah, I'm going to shut it off now because I'm going to have to, I don't know what it's going to look like, so. But, got a little bit of resin left. Use that in the space wherever I need to, and that's how you do it. That's a tech tip. Alright, so I'm now at the point where I've done all the glassing on the inside that I want to do. It's a little rough in there still, but I am a little bit impatient, so I'm just going to say screw it. It looks good enough. And patch this back on here. Let's see, it goes like this. And not sure how I'm going to tack it in. how I'm gonna hold it at first, but really I'm just going to kind of get this set back on there and lay a few layers of glass on this flat part, and it'll be good. Alright, so we got it tacked in there. Now we just gotta wait for it to dry, and that's it. Yep, this whole thing is just like lay glass, wait forever for it to dry, lay glass, wait forever for it to dry. So, and sometimes I get impatient when I'm doing any type of build, and so it's kind of tough for me to really want to make this type of movies, but you know, yeah, I was given this camera, so I don't do any of the editing for these films, just so you know. Just Josh does all the computery stuff and makes the channel and all that. This is just bonus, you know. He gave me this camera so that I would basically get footage for him. And yeah, this might be an awful video, but yeah, and it's split up. It's gonna be split into so many different sections, because I've been working on this for months. Yeah, well, not months, but weeks. Because it just takes forever, and it's just like I've probably used up a whole box of gloves, and this is probably about 2 yards of fiberglass fabric and a gallon of resin. So, but it actually looks pretty good. Oh. Right, you movie watching people. Here is the finished. There it is. Filled it full of water, and it doesn't leak. I know that means it's gonna hold gas no matter what perfectly, for sure. This is the old one. This is where I tried to weld it, and yeah, this thing was a hassle. So it was leaking, and I definitely feel better with this than this. I'll see if I can wiggle the camera some more for you. Turned out good though. I mean, aesthetically it looks kind of like a bad burn victim, but yeah, there she is. So, and check this out. So, this guy has these 2 extra nipples for your return and your vent, but I'm using the straws out of some big sit-down turd, and so it has the vent in the return built into the straw setup, so that worked out perfectly. So I'm really stoked to see how it's going to work. Now I can continue building the Superjet. So, yeah, I'm going to have that out soon. One note I did forget to mention was one difference between the plastic and the fiberglass tank is going to be, as you can see, this one has been heated up a lot. And I've definitely dented in a few plastic tanks with a propane torch in my time. You can catch this plastic, you can throw this in the fire and it doesn't really burn, and you know, it'll heat up enough to be pliable, but it doesn't really burn. So fiberglass, it burns. Plastic, this special plastic, not so much. So hopefully that's not an issue, but that would be a bad issue to have. But that's one thing you might think of. If you were doing this at home for yourself.